We are in New York City in the heart of Gramercy Park. I am at BLT Prime and we are about to meet Chef Dmitri, who is going to be preparing some delicious dishes using Himalayan Chef pink Himalayan sea salt blocks. Let's go see what he's going to prepare for us in the kitchen.
Hi, I'm Dmitri Petriakov here at BLT Prime, New York City, and today we're going to grill on some pink Himalayan salt. So a few days ago I got a care package from the Himalayan Chef. There's a big box of salt, different varieties of it. Obviously the block was the first thing I jumped on because it's so wow factor of it. They also sent me a grinder that we used to grate the salt on top, a couple of shakers, and a couple of different herbs mixed in with the salt. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is when you heat the block, you must start on low heat and heat it up for about 10 to 15 minutes on low and then crank it up to high. We're making hanger steak today, marinated in balsamic red wine and pomegranate. And to start the marinade, we're going to chop up some shallots and some garlic. We're going to start off with a little olive oil. The shallots and garlic that we just chopped are going to go right in. Let that cook for just a minute. All right, so after we sweat the shallots and garlic for just a little bit, we're going to add some red wine vinegar, some balsamic vinegar, some fresh cranberries, and a sprig of thyme. We're going to let that roll for about 20-25 minutes till it reduces by about half. As the marinade is finishing, we're going to throw in the pomegranate seeds just so that they don't deteriorate right away. We're going to let that cool to room temperature. We're going to marinate the steak and we're going to season the asparagus, throw the asparagus, the steak, and the scallops onto the block. So we're going to make a dry rub for the asparagus. It's going to be a little bit on the spicy side. Let's call it a Cajun rub. We're going to leave the salt element out of it because we're cooking on Himalayan salt blocks. So we're going to use two different types of pepper, some garlic powder, oregano, cumin seed, and paprika. So a little cayenne pepper, garlic powder, smoked paprika, red pepper, dried oregano, and cumin seeds. Mix all the spices up, and this is essentially going to be the Cajun rub for the asparagus. Just going to do a little bit of olive oil on the asparagus to make that Cajun spice stick. After that, generously apply the rub that we made. The more moisture you have on the ingredient you're cooking on the block, the saltier it'll be. So I'll put some Himalayan black pepper on the scallops, drizzle just a little bit of olive oil, and we're ready to go on the block. So we'll splash some water on the blocks, make sure they're good to go. Once you hear that sizzle, you know they are. We'll start off with the hanger steak. Some of the asparagus and the scallops. So we're going to pull the asparagus, the steak, and the scallops off, and we're ready to plate. So about 4 to 5 minutes on either side. It'll be medium rare on the block. And if the block is super hot, it won't absorb a lot of salt, so it's always nice to have a little bit on hand for a little finishing flavor. Prior to marinating the steak in the bag, we reserve some of the sauce just for the finishing touch. Sprinkle of pomegranate seeds, sprig of thyme, just a little bit of the grated Himalayan salt over the top. There you have it. One of the benefits of Himalayan salt is its versatility. So we used it as a hot presentation plate to cook our steaks, asparagus, and scallops on. In this dish, we're going to use it as a cold presentation plate for some tuna sashimi. So we have some ahi tuna, some daikon radish, carrots, scallions, and we're going to make a yuzu vinaigrette. Yuzu is a Japanese citron, which is somewhere between a lemon and a tangerine. We're going to use that as the base for our vinaigrette with a little bit of sesame oil, some mirin, and sesame seeds. We're going to start off with some grated ginger. Ginger is easiest grated on the microplane because of the fibers inside of it. They break up much easier when you grate it versus chopping it or dicing it. So we're going to dress the salad with the vinaigrette, slice up the tuna, and plate it on that lovely Himalayan salt block. A little bit of the scallions, the carrots, and the daikon radish. Some of our vinaigrette. We're gonna let that sit just for 5 minutes for the flavors to incorporate as we cut the tuna. We're gonna put a little bit of the salad on the bottom just to have a little bit of barrier between the tuna and the salt block itself, because over time it tends to get a little bit salty, so you want something to counteract that. Lay the tuna right on top. Some of the salad as a garnish, and to finish it off, 1 spoonful of the vinaigrette over the tuna. And the vinaigrette will also help the salt absorb into the fish itself. The salad on the bottom will keep it from being overly salty. Finish it off with a sprinkle of sesame seeds. So the versatility of the salt block is great. Obviously you could use it as a hot dish like we did for the steak and as a cold presentation as well. I wanted to do something a little bit more approachable that if you do have it at home, you could do that with ease. So ahi tuna is very, very popular among everybody. Yuzu can be replaced with lime if you can't find the juice in that. And then this is a great centerpiece or a presentation piece if you're doing it at home, if you're doing it with guests or at a holiday party, something like that. To put something like this on a table is gonna have a wow factor more than any other plate. Thank you very much for having me on the show. You can visit us at BLT Prime, 111 East 22nd Street, heart of Gramercy Park. We're open for dinner 5:30, 7 days a week.